All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the discussion. Great to see some familiar faces and a few people that I don't know. So I'm glad to meet you. And I really just want to thank you for joining us today as we just have a really kind of open and fun discussion. We won't be doing any slideshows or any kind of presentations because you're used to doing that through your work life. We're just going to be chatting and having a good time. So let me just introduce myself for those of you who don't know who I am. As you can tell, I'm originally from Australia, and I moved to Toronto in 2018 with nothing more than a backpack. So I worked from the bottom of the corporate ladder in the gym industry, from head trainer, group fitness, functional training director, pretty much every position you could possibly imagine. I have done that. And then I was actually brought back to the gym that I was working at to be in charge of running their functional training program, where I ran a team of 10 trainers, instructors, and I implemented and ran a fitness program for them for a number of years. Fast forward, I started my own personal training company. I also ran one of Toronto's longest surviving boot camps called Buns of Steel, which I actually... Some of you may know that I ended up retiring the name because I don't think in 2020 we need a boot camp called Buns of Steel. Yeah. I've actually represented Canada on the national team for rugby league. I've competed in classic natural bodybuilding and also natural physique shows. I'm currently involved in a beta test with Peloton, and I've been a trainer and a voice actor for an upcoming running app, which is still in development, which is kind of cool. Now I run a company called The Personal Revolution, where I work exclusively with Toronto's top tier executives. I've got clients in the LCBO, CBC, Dyson, Apple, RBC, TD, just to name a few. And I currently am running a 6-month life transformation program for overworked executives to restore balance through health and fitness optimization. So enough about me. I want to get on to the reason why we're talking about discipline. The reason why we're talking about discipline today is that it's such a fundamental step to have some sort of life transformation. Part of my process that I work through with clients is I have a 5-step process, which is clarity, measurement, discipline, nutrition, and exercise. So these are the 5 key steps in order to be successful, I really think, in anything in life, but particularly in health and wellness. Most people focus purely on nutrition and exercise, which is why you're constantly falling on and off the wagon. So once you incorporate clarity, measurement, discipline, nutrition, and exercise in that sequence, you will be able to have a successful life transformation. So I want to talk about discipline today. So today my guests are Debbie and Kevin. So welcome, guys. Great to chat to you. So Debbie Muir is the co-founder of Great Traits, a company known for applied high-performance leadership training programs. Debbie's Olympic involvement includes coaching her synchronized swimming athletes to 7 out of a possible 9 world championship titles, 2 Olympic gold medals, and 2 Olympic silvers. She was named the Coaching Association of Canada as one of the top 10 all-time coaches in Canada's history, the only woman to receive this remarkable distinction. Awesome. Love it. And Kevin, just as impressive, he is a 2014 Paralympic bronze medalist in sledge hockey. After being paralyzed at the age of 23, Kevin not only learnt how to walk again, but to also overcome the mental battle of both depression and living with a disability to rebuild his life and eventually reach the Paralympic podium in sledge hockey. Today, Kevin is a full-time entrepreneur, both as a keynote speaker and running his corporate team building program, the Sledge Hockey Experience. So Debbie, please give me a little bit more of an intro in what you do and what the Great Traits is all about.
All right. Well, I coached for 27 years, and synchronized swimming, as you heard. And then right at the end of my coaching career was when Mark Tewksbury was making his go for gold for the 92 Barcelona games. And he was having some major challenges, and he asked me if I would help him. It was mostly with his technical work, like starts and turns and underwater work. He figured I knew how to teach people how to hold their breath.
Okay.
But mostly it was, you know, the mental stuff that I actually helped him with. And then he went on to win the Olympics. So out of that, when that experience was over, Mark and I realized there were some real fundamental things that we did that year that really had nothing to do with just being a great athlete, but everything to do with just being great at whatever it is you're doing. And that's when we wrote our book, which is called The Great Traits of Champions: Fundamentals for Achievers, Leaders, and Legacy Leavers. And so out of that, Mark and I have developed, like fast forward to 2019, we developed a program that's all about leadership training. So we've taken all of the principles of coaching athletes and applied them to coaching leaders, because we believe that leaders can be made, not born. So we have now a fully virtual 12-week program that's applied high-performance leadership training called the Corporate Champions Program. And that's where we are now.
Okay, awesome. Kevin, please fill me in a little bit more details with what you're doing, where you've come from, whatever you'd like to share with me.
Yeah, sure thing. Short story is, most people know me these days as being a retired Paralympian in sledge hockey. And if you've never seen sledge hockey before, just as a quick reference, it's when you play hockey sitting down and you pull yourself around using your arms. It's real sick. It's the coolest Paralympic sport out there, in my opinion.
It is.
Super cool.
Yeah. And so then the next question is like, well, why are you playing sledge hockey if you're walking? Because if you see me, I'm walking. When I was 23, broke my back on my dirt bike. I was paralyzed, never supposed to walk. Luckily, didn't sever my spinal cord. Surgery realigned it. A little bit of luck, a lot of hard work. Back on my feet, walking and even riding in a year. And I'll get, again, just for the short story, like that ended up leading me down a path to rediscover life, you know, what matters, also a new way to enjoy living life with a disability. So that's how I found sledge hockey. World Championship gold. This is the bronze here from Sochi, 2014.
Awesome.
Yeah. And today, the team building business of the sledge hockey experience, where I would typically bring groups on the ice to play sledge hockey. In this world, I've had to close that business, but then I just pivoted entirely all in on my speaking business. And then today, we might end up chatting a bit about it, but I created a virtual program titled Resilience Toolbox to develop your mental resilience while working from home.
Okay, awesome. And for those that are watching, I met Kevin very briefly at a barbecue. We didn't actually chat at the barbecue. And I would have had like no idea that you had been paralyzed. And when I found out, I was literally blown away, because oftentimes, you know, maybe someone's been paralyzed and they're walking again, but it's like visible, and like the fact that they're moving is incredible. Like there's no idea that you came from that position. So man, it's so inspiring. And the reason why I want to talk to you about discipline is because I honestly couldn't think of a better example of the discipline that would be required to get yourself back to that position. So yeah, I'm excited for you to kind of dig into that a little bit for me. So
for sure.
Okay, guys. So those that are watching and listening, I want to kind of get a bit of feedback from you. I can't see many cameras on. So what I want you to do is just type in the chat, how has your health and fitness routines been impacted by COVID? Just like quick, short answers, just like hit me up with some good, bad, horrible, nothing's changed. Let me get a feel for what's actually going on.
I'm going to add it. I'm going to participate too.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah. Give me some things, guys. Ebbs and flows, improved in the beginning, declined. Cool. Home workouts all the time. Yep. Cool. Yep. Keep bringing them in. I feel like I gave up. I'm still hopeful. Yeah, 100%. Even for myself, guys, like I've been working out consistently since I was 17, which is 21 years ago. And COVID has been the worst 6 months for me, being thrown out of whack. So totally understandable. Who feels like working, even though you've been working from home, in theory, you should have more time, you've still struggled. Like, it feels like you have less time. Does that make sense what I'm asking? Like, in theory, you should be able to work out more. You're not commuting, you're not doing, all the after school runs, but still struggling with that. Can I get a feedback? Has that been tough for you guys? Okay, committed to home workouts, losing focus on and off. Yep, 100%. Cool. So feels like I have less time. Yep, working overtime. Yeah, some people are working even more. 3 kids, job's busier. Yeah, the funny thing is I found most people who have kept their job have actually been working harder. Seems weird. There's a whole portion of us whose work kind of disappeared. I mean, at the start of this, I went from fully booked to 0 because the gym closed, and everyone else around me, like, busier than ever. Who here doesn't know what to do now that the gyms are closed or you're not near the gym anymore? Give me some, like, what are you doing for that? Lost? Yep. Tanya, I hear you. Anyone else? Paid for an online workout app. Okay, cool. What else are people doing? Like, do you think that you're going to go back to the gym right now? Are people scared to go back? Give me some feedback. Trying to do boot camps. Everyone's lost motivation. Walking, cycling. Okay. Okay, cool. So everyone's kind of in a bit of a position where we need some discipline and we need to, I don't want to go back. I'm worried about cleanliness. Yep, 100%. I'm even a bit like that as well. I've been tentatively of checking out Dwell, where I've trained some people. Yeah, it's concerning. Okay, so what I want to do now is I really want to get into discussing discipline and also specific takeaways on how you can get more disciplined and implement that back into your life, and specifically into a health and fitness routine. I mean, Debbie and Kevin can relate that for you guys, the discipline that you need at work, in your businesses, but I want to kind of steer it around health and fitness and how both of those worlds connect. Because a lot of times everyone on this call is specifically a high performing person. So you have optimized your health and wellness, your career and, your professional life, and not so much on your personal life and your health and fitness. And those two are completely connected. And so I want to kind of draw the dots between those two, and for you all to get an understanding that you really need both of those in alignment for you to go even further. So Debbie, I'll start with you. First of all, I want to know, like, what is discipline? Like, it's sort of a weird thing to talk about, because it's like, how do you even really define it? So love to hear what you think.
Well, when you threw out that question to me earlier in that email, I decided I'm going to go look up what discipline is. And honestly, like, most of the definitions aren't how I see it anyway. It's like, discipline is when the teacher disciplines the kid for talking during class, or that kind of thing. And disciplines, like, in the aquatic sport, swimming is a discipline, diving is a discipline, all that. But for me, and I think for the purposes of this call, discipline it's a practice that you consistently engage in, that is required if you want to be successful in any endeavor. And I think probably the biggest challenge with discipline, and it's kind of makes it doubly difficult, is that it takes discipline to have discipline, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's what it means for me.
Kevin, what about for yourself?
One of my favorite speakers in the world is Les Brown.
Okay.
And each of you know him, many of you may. Les is a legend. And years ago, one of the quotes that I heard from Les Brown when he was speaking, he mentioned discipline is when you keep your commitment to your commitment. And that's something that stuck with me for a long time, is that many of us will set goals, say we're committed, and then we'll find an excuse and a reason to not follow through with that. And so when I heard Les Brown say, when we keep our commitment to our commitment, that's when we really truly are disciplined. And what also comes to mind for me as I've been working with different individuals and groups over the last several months, you know, a lot of people I think, well, not think, like do, when you fall off your routine or your schedule, you'll easily, you know, either find an excuse, or maybe you'll start to beat yourself up, and then you think that it's not worth, you know, getting back on track, or it's too hard to get back on track. One of the things that has really helped me and helped many others is when you find yourself falling off of track and your discipline might not be where it needs to be, just ask yourself or tell yourself, how quickly can you hit the reset button? Because discipline doesn't mean that you're gonna be perfect every single day, but discipline means that you're willing to continue to pick yourself back up and commit to what it is that you want. And if you can just keep picking yourself back up every day, just being disciplined in the fact of never giving up is discipline in itself.
Okay. I actually wanted to ask you both, I've thought of another question while you're talking, is what is the correlation between, like, is discipline and habits, is that the same thing? Or like, do you need habits to have discipline, or do you need to have discipline to have habits? Like, what do you think, guys? Because they're sort of the same in a way. And it's like, committing to something, do we need to focus on getting discipline first, or do we need to just start building habits that then gives us discipline?
I would start out by saying discipline comes first and then habits, because I mean, well, we're going to already live and experience, you know, habits unconsciously. So it's not like we need to, we'll have habits that we may not consciously be aware of. And if once we become conscious, then we want to change them. It'll take discipline to change those habits. But discipline, I think, is the most important, because whether you're aware of your habits or not, you know, having the confidence and courage to continually show up every single day, I think is the first step to then change your habits.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I think for sure it takes discipline to change your habits. So the discipline has to happen first.
Okay.
But the other part, and Kevin alluded to it, is often we're not even aware of what our habits are, and if they're habits that are serving us or aren't serving us. So there needs to be some kind of a, I don't know, maybe a deeper exploration, especially like when you're setting goals or whatever, to figure out, well, what habits do I currently have that are helping me, and what habits are hindering me, and then have the discipline to change those that you need to change.
Okay. So is discipline a mental, is it something that we produce sort of in our mind, or we have to sort of actively pursue it?
You have to action it. If it's happening in your mind, but you're not acting on it, I don't think you have the discipline.
Okay, so maybe the discipline, you have to have the discipline in your mind to then turn into actionable habits.
Yep, and that's a little bit of what I meant when I said you have to have discipline to get discipline.
Yeah. Okay, so that will lead into my next question, which is why are some people more disciplined than others? And is being disciplined something you have to work on, or you just have it? Like, is there a hope to become disciplined, I guess, is the the underlying question.
I think 100%. Yeah, like discipline is not, it's like, just as Debbie, you were mentioning, like leadership is not something necessarily you're born with. Like you can create the skill set to become a great leader. And, you know, discipline is the same thing. You can create and develop and strengthen your discipline. And it comes through practice. It comes through repetition. You know, that's how athletes become exceptional in what they do, is because they do the right things repeatedly over a long period of time. And they practice, you know, the right steps, the right skill set. They don't, they are less likely to allow themselves excuses to practice bad habits or bad disciplinary practice. And so that's, you know, from what we have learned, I think that's where our expertise gives us the ability to help remind other people that, you know, we didn't start out born this way. I grew up in a household, you know, a small basic example is like, I grew up in a household, not like a hoarding household, but like my house was messy. And so what I thought when I was a young teenage boy is that, like, I may not be able to have control over the entire household, but I want my room to be clean. So I started out just by making my bed in the morning. And that felt like I had a sense of control over my discipline about keeping the place clean, because I couldn't necessarily keep the whole house clean. And so I cultivated that habit, and then that's carried with me through the rest of my life.
Okay.
Wish my son would get that discipline.
I feel like a big part of discipline is that you have to want it. Like people always tell me that I'm super disciplined, and I don't feel like it. I'm a super disciplined person, and I don't feel like I'm regimented and I have to do this and I have to do that, and like everything is sort of structured. I live kind of an unstructured life, but it is very structured. But I want it. Like I want to be fit. I want to be healthy. Like it is my number one priority, even over my career. Like I want to be healthy, and I feel like the kind of trigger off point for people who want to be disciplined is you have to like really want it. Like there's no like ifs or buts. Like you're either all in or not. Am I on the right path here, do you think?
I think for sure, whatever you're going to be disciplined about is something that, to exactly what you said, you really want it. And it has to be a really strong sort of, why am I doing this? Like, let's say you have just a crazy desire to run at the Boston Marathon or something like that. Well, that's going to take a heck of a lot of discipline to do what you need to do to make that happen. So from that point of view, I think you're exactly right. And it's just sort of occurred to me, you know, as I mentioned at the beginning, I went to the dictionary to see what discipline meant. And I'm kind of wondering, you know, maybe we should just reframe this word, because in a way, discipline has sort of like a negative kind of connotation, like you're disciplining yourself the way the teacher discipline, you know. Maybe we just need to change our language, reframe what it is we're trying to do, so it maybe comes out as something more more positive, or not so like you're getting mad at yourself because so anyway, that thought literally just came to me.
No, that's actually really, really good. And maybe it's changing discipline to prioritizing, to kind of what I said, is because people are always saying, I'm not disciplined enough. Oh, I couldn't do what you do. I'm not disciplined. But I'm not special. Like the only gift I have is that I prioritized these things in my life that differently to other people. And therefore that combination of that prioritization, I think, has made me disciplined. Because like I said, I'm not like that strict, you know, teacher, like you must be this, but I just live that way for the things that I want. And other things I'm not disciplined, you know, like making my bed. That's not my discipline.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kev? Do you want to add anything to that?
Well, there's something that I wanted to share. I know that you had planned at some point asking about resources to help each of the attendees, everyone here, understand this. Is this something I could share at the moment?
Please, of course. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, cool. So I like tech. So I've got this already set up. This is my iPad here. And has anybody ever heard of the book titled The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg.
Yes.
Why we do what we do. You could do this at home, real easy, just draw 3 circles. And Charles illustrates the habit loop. And to understand why we do what we do, there's 3 pieces. There's our cue, our routine, and our reward. And in simple terms, I'll use an example that I struggled with for years, is that when I competed, my workouts were amazing because I was always accountable to the team and I was competing for something that was a large goal. And so the workout was not a problem. The reward was, energy, the endorphins, the clarity in your mind. But when I retired from sport, I struggled with getting to the gym, and I could never get to the gym. But if I got to the gym, the workout would take care of itself, and the routine would take care of itself, and the reward was there. So what I discovered is that I would win or lose the battle in the shower. And in the shower, I had 1 or 2 options. One is that I would put on either my comfy clothes, or 2 is I put on my workout clothes. And as I became a full-time entrepreneur post-retirement from sport, I was working from home every day like we now do in COVID life. And so that I realized that I had a battle to win when I was in the shower. If I could focus on when I get out of the shower, I had 1 or 2 decisions to make. And if I could just win that battle to put on my workout clothes, that the rest of the habit loop would take care of itself. And so the question I challenge each of you to ask yourself is, where might you have a habit that you can identify a cue, a routine, or perhaps a reward, and start to create a new habit loop? Because even though the cue in my case was off, perhaps for some of you, like you're saying, like, why are some people motivated more than others to actually commit to being disciplined? Maybe your reward isn't exciting to you. Maybe you've got no problem with the cue, the routine is good, but you have trouble keeping the reward because nothing's motivating you. So I'm just going to stop there because I don't want to spend too much time on this, but that tool really served me well over the years. I think it helped many people.
That's really good. Really, really good, actually. And I kind of implore people to think about exactly the reward and like why, like if you want to be disciplined in your health and fitness, like why do you want to be disciplined? Like, don't just say, people come to me, it's like, oh, I want to work out. It's like, okay, why? I want to like look better. It's like, okay, well, why haven't you done that for the last 15 years? It's like, I don't know. It's like, okay, well, looking better isn't a good enough reward for you. Otherwise you would be working out already. So yeah, that's awesome. So yeah, guys, the takeaway for that is think about why you want to be healthy and fit. And it's different for every person. Maybe you're a mom, like there was someone had 3 kids. Your reward should just be, maybe it's to get time on your own. Like that may be a good enough reward to motivate you to work out 3 or 4 times a week. For someone else, maybe it is run the Boston Marathon, and therefore the reward is that. So dig down into your specific reward first, and then build your habits and discipline based on that reward. Otherwise, you're chasing the wrong thing, and it's not going to work for you. So, Deb, did you want to add anything to that?
No, I completely agree with what both of you are saying, and I like that you focused on also the why, and then Kevin focused on the reward. Like, so when you get the why and you really know what the reward is, like sometimes, then sometimes like the discipline part just happens.
Yeah, I think you're right. And discipline, we get so caught up on discipline, and like you said earlier, but it's not really the discipline that matters. Like, it's the other parts of it that kind of, discipline just happens. It doesn't, you don't have it or you don't have it. Like, we all have it. We just need to figure out the pieces in place that then give us the discipline to work towards it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I like that, actually. This is really good.
This is helping us. We're getting clear too.
It is, yeah, guys. If you're enjoying this and like it's hitting the mark, please leave a response. If you have any questions, kind of relating to it, we can take some at the end. So please like write those down as well. So why do some, I guess we kind of answered this in a way, but I wanted to ask like, why do some people are super disciplined in some areas and not in others? Because like often people say, I'm super disciplined, but realistically they're super disciplined at work. Like they run a company, but then their personal life is like in complete chaos. So do you have any insights to why we get those kind of different sides?
Well, one thing I was thinking around this is having discipline, and like if you're running a company and it's so intense and it's so focused, it's actually probably not having discipline in other areas is kind of almost like your recovery piece. Because if you have to have discipline in everything, like it's just so intense, and we know that we can't take that intensity. It's like training, right? You have to put in do the volume, do the intensity, and then you have to recover and rest. So I think if you have an expectation on yourself that is, I have to be disciplined in everything I do, then I think you're going to have some challenges, or you're going to be a total like, rigid kind of person that doesn't, let
I'm with you.
go.
Like, I'm super disciplined with my work and workouts. But I struggle more with my diet. Now I have help. I've got someone that's preparing meals for me each week. But I need I like accountability, and I taught as the habit loop, as an example, like post-retirement, I had to teach myself how to become more disciplined without accountability because I couldn't afford to continue to pay a personal trainer. But just exactly like you said, Debbie, that it is mentally exhausting when you try to be super disciplined in all of these different areas, especially if they're not something that comes easy or natural to you. There's going to be some other areas that fall. So that's where I found, if it's an accountability partner, or, maybe you accept 50% of what you're capable of in another area that's not going to impact you as much, I think has helped give myself permission and can give others permission as well to find some balance when it comes to discipline.
Okay.
And it links back to what you said at the beginning too, Jay, and that was the priorities, setting what your priorities are. So then where and when you have to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would implore everyone hearing that is to understand that you have maybe over optimized in one area of your life to get to where you are right now. And if your health and fitness you've put it aside, then there may need to be some slight reshifting to bring your health and fitness up. So you can't work at this optimized level and then expect that you are going to bring your health and fitness up to the same level. The idea is that, can you bring that down a little bit and bring this up a little bit, and then slowly kind of level them out. And from my experience is you can be disciplined in both of those categories, but you can't just expect, if you haven't worked on this part of your life, you can't just expect that it's going to come straight up unless you slowly building for the whole time. So the takeaway for this is I want you to think about, what is the level of health and fitness that I feel comfortable with, that I can reduce. Maybe it means I have to leave work a little bit early. Like if you love working till 7 o'clock every night, you aren't going to get health and fitness in your life unless you decide to finish at 6 o'clock 2 or 3 nights a week and add an hour workout, for example. So think about, where am I going to be able to balance some of my life, because health and fitness should be prioritized, because once it's prioritized, wherever you are here in your professional life, it can go so much further because you're maxed out right now. It can't go any further until you bring it back, bring up health and fitness, and then push the two together. So.
And I think the other part here is in the way that we are these days, we seem to be more around like quantifying things. So like, you know, we see these people that work 16-hour days, but you know, really, and there's books out there too, like the 4-hour workday and all that. It should be about quality. So the quality of the work that you're putting in. So whether it's at work or whether it's at the gym or whatever, it's about how effective is the work that you're doing as opposed to how much work are you doing.
Yeah. 100%. My final kind of questions for you guys, Kev, I really wanted to kind of get an understanding of like how your life was disrupted in the most unimaginable way. Give us a little insight on how you actually went from paralyzed to walking and just the discipline, a few takeaway steps there, just to, because I personally want to know.
Yeah, cool. Okay, well, I'll kind of rapid fire a few thoughts. One is that I didn't mention at the beginning for all the viewers here to see is that part of my motivation about why I've been as disciplined as I have, motivated to succeed, is that my dad was also paralyzed 4 years before I was in a hunting accident. So seeing my dad go through his paralysis, he fell from a tree, the short story, broke his back a few years from retirement. And seeing him go through his challenges, long story short, 5 years later, he took his own life. Seeing what my dad went through showed me, number one, that I don't want to wait to live my life. Number two, that every single day you have to fight. And that gave me a lot of drive and motivation to keep fighting. When I was in therapy, I went to my therapist, Chris, and I said, Chris, I can't move my legs. How am I ever going to do this? And he looked at me and he says, you just have to try. Wow. And I'm like, dude, do you have anything else than that? Like, is there anything else you've got for me? And he's like, no, he's like, you just have to try. And I was like, what have I got to lose? He goes, every night, every morning, when you're in bed, just try to wiggle your toe. And so I thought to myself, I have no other option. And so every night, every morning, I just stare at my toes. And finally, I got a flicker and a little flicker more. And the next morning I ran hot water on my toes, and then I moved on command in the shower. And for me, that was like game on. But the lesson I took from that experience is that, like I said, number one is that you don't know what you're capable of unless you try. And number two is that once I got one toe to move, I knew it was game on. And then I got another toe to move, and then another toe, and then 3 toes, and then 3 toes, and an ankle. And that any of these big steps or achievements, the goals we have in our life that we'd like to accomplish, are all achieved by a series of small baby steps. And I just took that life experience of laying in the hospital bed, at rock bottom, where I had this monumental goal of wanting to learn how to walk again. And it literally was achieved by taking things one toe or one step at a time.
Wow.
That's powerful.
I want to say something. I want to sound like a dick here, but Kevin is like, you're not Superman. Like you are just like, we all have that capability is what I'm trying to say. Like, it is incredible. And I'm not trying to take that away from you. You did a superhuman effort, but for people who are watching this being like, well, I'm not Kevin. Like he's like a different person. Like you're just a human like us, like that has the capability of extreme wonder. So
can I share the hero mindset real quick?
Please.
So my signature keynote is the hero mindset, which is about focusing on small things and make a big difference. And by doing that, we can show up and become a hero in our own movie. So the 3 key principles to focus on every single day in your life: hero moments, hero decisions, and hero actions. Hero decisions are when you choose to accept things. Hero decisions are when you choose to accept responsibility. When my dad fell from the tree, he kept saying the same 3 things: that the branch shouldn't have broke, it's not my fault, and life's not fair. We're living through a world right now where it's not our fault. It's not my fault. Why did I just lose that? The branch shouldn't have broke. It's not my fault. Life's not fair. COVID shouldn't have happened. It's not your fault. And it's not fair, the situation we're in right now. But my dad, here's what happens when you blame a tree, when you blame your external circumstances, is you become a victim, negative, pessimistic, cynical. You start to drive your family and your friends away, and it serves nobody at all. And so you need to accept responsibility and realize that you may not be responsible for what's happened in your life, but you're always responsible for what you do about it.
Yeah.
The second piece, hero decisions, like I just illustrated, you take things one step at a time. Whatever your goal is, break it down. What's just the next step you need to take? Because once you take that step, then you will be able to see the next step and the next and the next. And the third piece around after you follow hero moments and hero decisions is hero actions. And that's just adopting the mindset to move forward with an attitude and a mindset of persistence, to feel the fear and do it anyway. Is that we're going to fall, we're going to fail. You're going to have days where you don't want to get up or pick yourself back up and you don't know what you need to do. But those are the moments where you need to make the decision to pick yourself back up and take action and step forward one more time. And if you follow those 3 simple steps, no matter, like you said, no matter who you are and what your outcome is that you're going after, in my opinion, that's how you can show up and become a hero in your own movie.
Dude, amazing. Thank you.
Excellent.
Love it. Love it. Guys, please just listen to that and take that away. Whatever it is that you want to do, whatever discipline you want, even if it's the smallest step of just getting outside and taking a walk, if that's what you need right now, just get your ass outside and start walking around the block. Dude, I love it.
Literally, that can be it.
Literally. Debbie, I want to finish with you because we're running out of time. I'm enjoying this so much. Well, you guys good if we keep going for a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, you good if we keep going? Okay, so Deb, I want a good Olympic story from you. Just I don't know if you know, but Australians, we love the Olympics.
I know.
We are just diehard Olympics. If our athletes don't get gold, we consider it a failure. So I want a really good Olympic story, but I want an example of someone you've worked with who maybe lost discipline and regained it.
Okay, I can do that. And by the way, Jay, I coached the Australian synchronized swimming team for Sydney.
Did you? I didn't know that. That's amazing.
I'd retired from Canada. Anyway, here's my story. Carolyn Waldo, who was the world champion, is the world champion, and she was an Olympic champion and all that. It was so we went. This is many years ago, but anyway, right after she won her first world championships, we went back to the pool and to training to prepare for the Olympic Games, which were the next year. She won 3 gold medals at that world championships. She couldn't have done any better. That's all the medals that were available. Anyway, and she was the most delightful person to coach. She was disciplined. She was happy. She'd do whatever you'd say. She worked hard. She was a dream athlete. Anyway, we come home from winning the Worlds. We start training for the Olympics. We're about 2 months into the year. And oh my God, she was terrible. Her test scores were getting worse. She was lazy. She wasn't having any discipline. She never laughed. It was awful. And one day I'm watching her do this workout down the middle of the pool, and it was the most lackadaisical thing. I'm sitting on the side of the pool going that's the world champion? No way. So I go, get my coach voice on, and it's Carolyn, get over here. So she swims over to the side of the pool, and I look at her, you know, I'm ready to say, like, you know, what's wrong with you? Are you all complacent now because you've won the worlds and you think you don't have to work hard? And, you know, I'd come to all these judgments in my
Yeah.
mind of what was wrong. And she just looked at me, and she burst into tears.
Okay.
And Carolyn never cries. And I hated it when athletes cried, so she wouldn't cry in front of me. So that was my little sign that I knew something was wrong. And so after a little bit of digging, you know, we found out that the reason why she wasn't motivated, why she wasn't working hard, why her results were going down, was because she was scared. She was terrified that she wouldn't be able to meet everybody else's expectations and win the Olympics or her own. And that fear just froze her, and she couldn't perform. But the trick here was, like, once we unleashed that, once we understood what was holding her back, sort of the why she was being undisciplined and all that, it took all the power of that fear. Like, it took the power away from the fear. We could talk about it, we could laugh about it. She relaxed a lot more, and, you know, she came, luckily, with 8 months to go still, her discipline came back and her performance came back, and she ultimately won the games.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what you said there was her fear. That to me is the takeaway thing. Kind of like with Kevin, like, we all have that. Like me, I have fear that I'm not going to be able to optimize myself the way I want. And having that fear is normal. So, like, a lot of times people are just not going back to the gym or not working out or not doing anything health and fitness wise just because they're scared of the fact they're overweight or that they're out of shape, or and you just have to, like, move past that. Yeah, that is awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, guys, we are running out of time. I wish we could go longer. Kevin, please give me some final steps, some takeaways for people to do right now. Everyone needs something to, like, work on, you know, do. Give me something to work on.
I'd hop back over here.
Okay.
Draw a habit loop. You know, real simple. Cue, routine, reward. Think about a habit that you have that you're not too pumped on, that you'd like to improve, and that could be, as we've talked a lot about fitness, it could be grabbing a drink at the end of the day. It could be, you know, not waking up and reading a book in the morning because, you know, you'd like to incorporate that into your routine. And just toy around with this model. It's real simple. Of course, you can go a lot deeper, but this is something that's actionable that you can implement with no money and quickly get a result.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you. What about you, Deb? Any takeaways, any actionable steps you want people to do?
I would just say, you know, set a goal and know why you want to. That's, you know, it has to have a strong why, and then make a plan. Like, if you don't have a plan, you know, like, it's hard to be disciplined. And then, but also identify, and I'm just reading Blair's thing here, you know, identify where you might go off the rails, where you kind of start to building in some contingency plans. So know yourself so well that, you know, if your thinking is getting in the way of your performance because you go back to old habits, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And know that when that happens, you have a plan for how you're going to keep yourself on track. And then just take action and act effectively. We call it our act, evaluate, revise model. So you do your action. At the end, you evaluate, did that work or didn't it work? And then if it didn't, you just revise it and kind of keep going. It's just a nice cycle to keep in the back of your head. And then that allows you to make mistakes. Guaranteed, you're going to have a lack of discipline sometimes. You're going to make some mistakes. But remember, there is no failure, only feedback. And we learn from our mistakes. So that's what you can do to keep going and go the distance.
Awesome. Thank you. Guys, for my takeaway for you to get some discipline is I actually want you to really delve down into why and get that priority for your health and fitness. So the real reason why people do not succeed in health and fitness is they just have not prioritized it. So make it your number one priority. And what that means, I want you to sit down and actually start writing down why it's important. Like why? Get 10 things, 20 things, 100 things. Put it down on the paper. I want to be around for my kids. I want to live longer. I want to be feeling better. I want my partner to find me more attractive. I want to have more energy. On and on and on and on until you have a list of, try and do 100 things. If you can do 100 things, send me an email and I want to see it. But I can guarantee that if you have 100 things of why it's important to you, the discipline will come because you just will read those things. And it's like, I'm going to get my ass out and go for a walk. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to get up at 6. Whatever it is that you need to do to get that list, you will get it. So, Kevin, where can people find you? Any last words you want to share? Where can they get information on you?
Thank you. If I can even just type it in on chat, just kevinrempel.com, best place to go. There's a checklist there for the resilience toolbox to see the habits and behaviors about developing a resilient mindset. That'd be awesome.
Okay, great. What about you, Debbie? Any last words? Anything? Where can people find you?
Yeah, you can get me at thegreattraits.com. And we've got, LinkedIn and Facebook and all of that. You can tell as I'm a little bit awkward with it. But anyway, we're getting really good at stuff. And we're running these 12-week programs that are 100% virtual. We're going to be starting new ones in January, one each month, January, February, March. We're doing one right now. So like if you're interested in taking one of our leadership training programs, that's there. And mostly like it would be, I just want to say best of luck. And it's not just luck because you're going to create your own luck to everybody. I believe all of you, once you put your mind to whatever it is you want to do, you can have the discipline, and you can, just the fact that you're at this, listening to this says to me that
100%.
you're going to do it.
100%. Guys, thank you so much. Just where you can find me, what I want to do for you guys, since you gave me an hour of your time, that I want to give you an hour of my time back. Ordinarily, what I do for our Personal Revolution Accelerator is that I do a sit-down one-on-one strategy session to kind of deep dive into what's going on in your life and kind of give you a whole bunch of actionable steps that then you would use those throughout the 6-month program. I want to offer that session to anyone who wants to take me up on it. I'll send out email with the details on how you can book that in. It's not a sales session. It will be a strategy session so that you can get some actionable takeaways. So thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Debbie, thanks so much. Kev, thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Guys, have a great night. And I'll send you an email with everyone's information and LinkedIn's and Instagrams, and it'll all come through tomorrow. So thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you, Zay. Thanks, Debbie.
Thanks.